Hi, I'm Jan Brown, and welcome to the Focus Lounge. If today the universe handed you an unlimited checkbook and said, write down everything you want, how far do you think your imagination could take you? Most people already have a general sense of what they want. First, they would pay off the pressing things like debt, things that are asking for money immediately. Then the upgrades would come, the things that you've already experienced. The nicer home, upgraded cars, some jewelry, vacations, things that you already know that you would like to have better versions of. The someday I'll afford these desires. But once that's taken care of, then what? Because today we're going to talk about one of the most mind expanding tools I've ever used. Another one in the arsenal of the Focus Lounge called the prosperity game. Because as deliberate creators, we need some level of clarity into what we want to create in our lives. There's a first wave of unmet needs and wants, right? But beyond that, most people never really stop to identify what they would really want because there's a protective part of the mind that keeps you from wandering too far into what feels unattainable. So playing the game actually allows deeper seated parts of you to emerge. In a way, it almost feels like meeting yourself for the first time because dormant desires and pieces of your identity will start bubbling to the surface. Let me explain how the game works. So, on day one, you receive $1,000 deposited into your prosperity account. On day two, you find a deposit for $2,000. On day three, you get $4,000. Do you know what you're getting on day four? I think you do. $8,000. Yes. Every day the universe doubles up what you're getting. So it starts to get exponentially larger fast because every day the universe deposits double into the account. Your only job is to spend it as it comes in and write down what you spent it on. That's it. The one rule. No saving. No need. The next day you're getting double. So the need to keep maintaining it is a moot point. You can absolutely gift it, invest it, donate, build businesses, experiment creatively with it, whatever you want. The point is simply to keep your imagination flowing and not bypassing it by using it as an escape hatch for the savings. Anyway, regardless, after a while, the numbers, they don't even matter anymore. Yes, certain things feel good to pay off in the exact amount that you owe, like debt. But once your imagination starts moving into the larger ideas, the rougher estimates are completely fine. At certain points, you just realize you can afford it. You're there. So eventually, in my own gameplay, I became so immersed in describing my own ideas that I stopped tallying the money altogether. The excitement over the ideas and how fleshed out they were coming through me became the real takeaway. What makes this game so powerful over things like journaling and visualization or playing virtual reality is that those practices often butt up against limiting beliefs. Things that you want to manifest, you hold more sacredly, so you're taking it more seriously. And that's where those ceilings can come in. But gameplay, by its very nature, has suspension of disbelief baked into it. You're giving a set of conditions for the game, and your mind simply accepts them as true. As the numbers keep growing, your mind accepts leveling up as facts. So, let's say you're deep in the game and you decide that you want to own a movie studio. Done. Now you own a movie studio. And now you see how your mind actually takes this information and starts moving differently. Now you're seeing yourself taking meetings in Hollywood, having conversations with actors and celebrities that you had only previously watched on screen, hearing pitches from directors who want to make a movie and ideas that now you can fund. You're in control. And because the mind has accepted that role inside the game, it starts iterating from that larger version of you automatically. You're no longer thinking like someone wishing they could participate. You're thinking from inside that world. I didn't realize how many ideas had been quietly living inside of me until I started playing the game and they started getting room to surface. Like, one of the ideas that came up for me was creating something for people coming out of prison, which I've always felt were very disenfranchised and at a disadvantage coming out. This would be more than traditional transitional housing. Something where it felt encouraging and safe and structured and healing. Somewhere where they could rebuild their lives and feel supported instead of discarded. Like, I imagined beautiful spaces filled with nature and art, crystals, calming environments, maybe even animals, things that could help soothe a nervous system that had been living inside harshness and survival for years, a real bridge back to life in regular society. And what I noticed was that this idea probably lived inside of me from years of watching pit bulls and parolees. And even then, I had moments of thinking, I'd love to help in some way. The game created enough freedom for the mind and pressure to have to spend the money that those small fragments and impressions started to take shape. You start seeing yourself in a fuller light and gaining a new level of respect for yourself as you realize how much more is actually inside of you than what everyday life normally gives you a chance to realize. As you keep playing, the momentum quickly builds. I made it to day 22, which was at that point over $2 billion of spending money. 2 billion. Ideas that felt huge didn't even spend the money anymore. So that's why I don't really see this as a money exercise. It's not that type of game. To me, it's a way of actually expanding beyond the limits you may have unconsciously accepted for your life. So, if you want to play along, I've created a free downloadable prosperity game spreadsheet that you can access through the link in the bio or the description, depending on where you're listening or watching from. I've also included a sample version of my own earlier game so you can get a feel for how the ideas evolve as the numbers grow. I didn't include everything, but just enough so that you can get ideas of how gameplay expands. Screenshots, notes, rough ideas, they're all encouraged. It's your game. Play as you want to. Don't overthink it. Just play. Start playing. You may end up discovering parts of yourself you didn't even know were there, and realize that some of these were just waiting for room to emerge as your blueprint now expands. Cheers to your evolving blueprint. Until next time.